provide notice of said election.
Roll call, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yes.
That's 6-0.
Passes 6-0. So that will go on the ballot now, as we discussed earlier. Next item is an additional committee for the city, and I'm going to make the motion that we form a committee to discuss the issue that we're having with the trash collection. Jane?
Second motion. Second.
All right. So now we're going to open it up for discussion. I would like to appoint members of that committee, and I would like to start with, this is part of my motion, I would start with James as the liaison between the city of Kennett, City Light, Gas and Water, and this committee. Randy Carter to be on that committee, Steve Penosis to be on that committee, Kevin, you're on that committee, and Jake McEwen asked to be on that committee. And then from the community, I'd also like to have Townie Sparks and Dennis Phelps on that committee. That way we can thoroughly discuss this and find out what we need to do at this point. So that's motion that's been seconded. Any discussion further?
And to be clear, the motion does include those specific people on the committee.
7, so there will be an odd number for voting. Any further discussion?
I'd like to include one.
All right, let's vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. So we passed a motion to begin a trash committee to, I hate to call that garbage collection committee, to work the bugs out of this system. Now, we've got the 2 individuals that that are from the community to be involved in that. That does not mean that everyone cannot be involved in it. If you would like to participate or come to that meeting, you're welcome to. That will be announced in the future. But the voting members are such that I announced. And so, but you will be welcome to make comments and deal with that in whatever manner you so choose. Okay, let's do that. Softball tournament. Where is my softball?
Good evening. I'm just a school teacher. I'm proud of my name is Angela Payne. I'm with Foothill Thunder, which is a travel softball organization through Kennett. Right now we have currently 8 youth softball players. So most of my girls range anywhere from 5th, 6th, or 5, 6, 7, 8. And then next year we'll transition. We'll move on up and add some down. Some of you are familiar with last fall, September 17th, we hosted a softball tournament here. We brought in 11 teams from the area, anywhere from West Memphis, Pocahontas, Jonesboro, Paragould. We had a couple of local teams. We brought in 11 players, or 11 teams. Most of those teams have average 12 players per team. There's a ton of revenue that comes into this town. We were met with nothing but a brick wall every time we asked. Whether it be, we need help getting the fields lined, even trying to hang a flag at the city park. We went to the we went to the park board. We couldn't really get anywhere. I realize that they do not work on Saturdays, but putting this out that we're working March 18th, I ask that you all consider maybe giving the park board member a day off through the week to help us. All that the park board offered for us was 2 trucks that we could put our trash in. I have a group of 12, 13 players with all their family. We spent an entire week at the park, cleaning the park, making it up to par. It was a great organization there. I talked to many people in the community. They said the restaurants were packed. Many of the restaurants became involved. They supported us 110%. One thing that we've noticed is there wasn't a lot of community support, so we'd like to put this out now to see what community support we can get. A big thing at Indian Park, if you're not familiar with it, the back bathrooms, there are 2 bathrooms. We had roughly 120 to 300 parents out there trying to use 2 bathrooms. That stopped up. I don't know if porta potties are an option out there for the time being for that day. That would be something that we would like to consider. We put all of our time and effort into it. We bought all the cleaning supplies. The only thing that the park department provided for us was toilet paper at the time. My parents spent hours out there power washing the sidewalks at many occasions because people just like to vandalize out there. You name it, they did it. We're willing to do it again. We're gonna do it again. You know, we brought in vendors. We had 2 local vendors set up out there to sell food. There were some more vendors that were coming in, but at the time had some area illnesses, so they couldn't come in. They paid money. Hey, we support you. You know, we're glad you do this. So I know Mr. Palmer and I have spoke many times. Different people on the council have spoke many times. We just need support. We need support within the council. I know Mr. Davis and I spoke. He put some firefighters out there in case somebody got hurt, what have you. So we're kind of just throwing this out there because we need a little help. We seem to be getting nowhere. We're out there raking fields by our hand. You know, we're raking the fields with my parents, with my grandparents, whoever. And then, I mean, even my husband and another parent had to fix the concession stand air conditioners because it was Saturday and Mr. Wheeler doesn't work on Saturdays. And it was 80 degrees outside. So,
I would like, a couple of things I would like you to get with the Chamber of Commerce again on that.
yes, Dave, Ray, and I are constantly in contact.
All right, good, and that may be how you get the community involved. I've spoken with Mr. Westerfield. He's going to check on if he has any street department employees that are interested in switching their hours to Saturday to help out in some manner there. I truthfully have been on the council for 13 years, and I don't recall ever having a vote on who the park board members are. Can we request a park board member to come into the meeting? Okay, so, all right, so Brenda, if you would request somebody from the park board be here for the next council meeting. I feel like this is more important than what anybody understands, because this type of activity, if this continues to grow, this brings people in to use the hotels, to use the food services, things like that. That is how we make our payments for the city of Kennett, by sales tax. And so we need this type of activity, and this is just the beginning of it, I hope.
Right, well, and I can tell you, there's already one on the calendar for the fall. We're on the Arkansas calendar because that's who we have to play out of because of where we're located. Now, we do pull some Missouri towns in from Cape Girardeau area. There's already one on the calendar for, I want to say, October 14th. So we have 2 on the calendar for this season.
Keep us informed. Anybody in the community that wishes to be involved, please do so. Like I said, I feel like this is a critical way for us to continue to survive in Kennett. Any comments otherwise? Thank you. I appreciate you being here. So, I need approval of the revenue expenditure. We need a motion for that. It was in your packet. Anything, anybody second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, next is, okay, okay, so we need approval on the abstract for city expenditures now. Do I have a motion on that? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that passes. And approve the bank balance. That was in the packet also. Do we have a motion there? Second? Jim? Okay, thank you. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, that passes as well. Mayor's report. I'm gonna do a mayor pro tem report. Got that, you don't like it? I think one of the things that we want to do, one of the reasons I want to get this committee together is as the time progressed, there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that we feel like need to be addressed. I think that's appropriate, and I don't know if we come up with the idea to rebid this process, is that legal?
Yes.
Okay. So we can rebid it, we'll see what the committee comes up with. I personally have some issues, guarantee payment. If we guarantee the payment of, say, 1,000 people, that's $26,000 we're gonna owe a month. And pretty soon we'll be eating up the police and the fire and all that budget right there. So I think that needs to be looked at as well. We also need to look at the donation of the land, and we need to look at the dollar that goes towards the beautification program. So I think that's going to be some of the key things that this committee needs to look at. All right, time for public comments. Anybody like to speak? I'd like to get you, if you would, we're going to try to limit it to, since there's so many people here, try to keep it to about 3 minutes. So when you want to speak, come up and say who you are and your address, please. Who wants to go first? Everybody okay?
I'm not gonna discuss trash though.
Good.
We can get that in a second. Sorry. My name is Jamie Chittister from City Light Gas and Water. I had Brenda handed you guys out a study, a result of the study that we had done. I told you guys it was going to be quite a few $1 million to upgrade the water. We had our water engineer at our last board meeting. A lot of good information. Scott was there, James was there, so a lot of good information has been put out. I know that the city received a couple $1 million, $2.3 million from ARPA funding. One of those things is drinking water, and that's what I'm here to ask. If you'll turn to page 2, each one of these 5 zones is broken down, and the cost, and the total cost is just north of $3 million. It's $3.2 million. When the engineer was on site during, giving us the results of the water study, that took him about 6 or 8 months to get done, he said there's nothing wrong with drinking water. Drinking water's in great shape. Water's fine. Water quality's good. So I can sympathize with the stormwater permits. I mean, it eats up a bunch of time making sure that water is good according to EPA regulations. So what he came up with, the $3.2 million, is to basically increase fire flow to different hydrants throughout the area. We're looking at just over, or right around $900,000, $930-something, I believe, for just zone 1, which I think, fire chief, the fire department has done a fantastic job. They had over 800 calls and had 2 problems the entire year. Two problems. Unfortunately, they were close together, so it kind of drew everybody's attention. But it's in that zone 1 area. So back to what I was saying is, with water, drinking water being in good shape, not a problem there, and us needing to work on fire flows, which I don't think I should be having our ratepayers fund that when we've got federal money sitting, in a pot somewhere. So I'm here to ask for, and I feel terrible asking for money. I mean, it's been doom and gloom up here the whole time, but for the expense to at least complete zone 1, which, like I said, was right around $900,000 for the water, wastewater, drinking water, funds. So Kevin's the junior guy on the finance committee that's here. Everybody else is gone, left you high and dry. So I don't know what that process is. I just want to get that out in front of you guys. That we've got a plan of attack now.
Good.
Now we need to execute that plan, but I don't want to execute that plan by doubling our water rates. So we can execute that plan, especially when we got a couple.
The only issue using that much out of the ARPA fund is if we have an issue like Keith has had, and we don't have the money somewhere else to get what we need.
Right.
We need to examine it further,
Sure.
and that's great that you brought it up. I'd like to see the finance committee meet with Scott. Can we bring that through the fire department?
Yeah, I think we can,
Okay.
yeah.
And those two committees meet and come back with a recommendation on that,
And if it's not the full 900,000, you know, I mean,
whatever we can.
right, I mean, there's 13,500 feet. If we can put 1,000 feet or 2,000 feet in the ground, that's gonna help our system, help the firefighters do their job right. So,
Jane, could I, so you guys applied for a grant on water related something I saw.
we did apply for additional funding. We were looking for just right at $5 million. How that fell out, we were eligible but not funded. They had about 20 communities that were eligible and funded, and they waitlisted, you know, a group of, so if some of those initial communities come in under budget, then that money falls down to the next one in line on the waiting list. We're below that waiting list, so we're not gonna be funded for any drinking water.
But you did try.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good, and then, so we'll get with you. Would it be possible for you to participate in that committee as well?
Sure, you guys, most of you guys have my contact information, let me know when and where, and I'll be there.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for the information. Any further discussion from the community?
I'm gonna clarify where we can and can't smoke marijuana.
Introduce yourself, please.
John Wheeler, our pro tem council members. I think a lot of us came here tonight with torches and pitchforks and certainly opinions and data and all that stuff, but it sounds like that stuff probably needs to wait until this committee has a chance to meet. I'd like to propose a friendly amendment if it needs to be voted on again, but I'd like to add 2 people to that committee, from the community, myself and William Maurer, myself obviously from trash experience, because you don't have anybody on that committee that has any, and William Maurer because of his extensive lending to trash entities for the last 20 years. If that's a possibility to amend that vote, that would be great. Otherwise, that's it. You can get back to me on the marijuana thing.
Would you stay afterwards and discuss that with me, please?
Sure. Glad to.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? All right, so it seems that we've got, go ahead.
Gary Higgins. I had no intention of speaking tonight. I promise I had no intention of speaking, but I do have a couple of questions now. Number one, a lot of us in the community have been critical of what the council has done over the past month regarding the trash issue. I think it's proper to commend you on at least stepping back and slowing down on this process. This process happened very, very fast, and I think you're all aware now of questions that probably should have been answered before then, but at least you're stepping back and you're to be commended on that. And speaking on behalf of all the people in here, on that side of the equation, I want to be the one to commend you for that. Hopefully we'll see that there are some issues that can be addressed, and it sounds like that this issue would be rebid. If that's the case, that would be a great opportunity for the council to undo some of the mistakes it's made over the past month. On another issue, I'm also on the Kent Park Board, and I just want to answer Ms. Payne. The Park Board has never been approached about the tournaments.
Okay.
Now, possibly an employee or one or two members of the board have, but I can't imagine anyone on the Park Board being opposed to bringing people into the city of Kent. All the things that Ms. Payne said can be addressed with employee time and managing the employee time to get people there to be able to work during the tournament. Those are all things we're happy to address. We've never been approached.
Did you, where did you go?
Yes, they were approached. I was told to direct everything to Debbie Stokely.
In fact, she never came to a park board meeting. And I have spoken to a couple of people in her group and told them the best way to address these issues is to come to a park board meeting.
Great.
And we're happy to address that.
Very good. I will, hang on just a minute. I'm gonna suggest then at this point, rather than request that a park board member be here, that if you would meet with the park board, and let's see what we need to do from there.
And that's exactly what you did with the group last month, or 2 weeks ago, wanting to use Jones Park for the disc golf. There's on our agenda to speak, and sounds like a great program, and that was the proper method, was come to the park board first, and then take it to the city council.
All right, thank you for letting me know that.
Mr. Pickett,
Yes.
just want to say one thing. I appreciate you talking 2 weeks ago, but the insinuations that were there did not happen. We did not meet secretly on any of these meetings to talk about trash or city-wide gas and water things that came up, and I got a phone. I don't even want to talk about phone calls, Scott, but anyway, there was no secret meetings that I know of. So,
That's an issue that will be addressed later. You know, I know you said that, several of you have not said anything on the matter.
Well, I'm not gonna tell
One
you.
councilman has said that there were additional people in the meeting, but that
Well,
doesn't
I'm not
matter.
gonna tell you
You're
there
stepping
wasn't.
back, and you're undoing these.
I'm not gonna tell you there wasn't, but I didn't know that.
You're correcting a mistake now. That's what matters.
Thank you. Anybody else? Have we discussed? Go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Mr. Secretary. I think a lot of people came for fireworks and we didn't get it after last week's. I think people just came to see it. I know you've created a committee to go over this. I will say that.
We're expecting your participation in that too.
Come again?
So we're expecting your participation in that as well.
As long as it's not private, I'll be there. Or I'm gonna keep it that
Gotta be
way.
public.
I had a lot to say because I didn't know how the night was gonna go, but I'm just gonna cut it down to pretty short. You know, it was put out to bid, we won the bid. And I've since found that it was basically, we won just to be able to kind of basically negotiate a contract. We have won the bid and we are fully prepared to negotiate that contract. Take out, add to, whatever needs to be done. Because the RFP wasn't very specific. If we need to do that, we can. But there's one thing I want to leave you guys with and the members of the public is just a few points. Tonight we brought, I don't know, 18 or 20 guys that are local to this area and they depend on a job. And that's what we're providing. The local people. Come again? Come again?
Say it again.
Was that, who was it? I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it wasn't him.
I didn't know who it was. I didn't know. So, our local people are backbone. That's how we, as you said earlier, that's how we get revenue for the city. Our guys, we've given on average $175 to $200 a week raise. That's certainly helpful. That's certainly more money into the till for the city. You know, I want to explain the reasons why we can't do the job as cheap as other people. I'm not bashing another company at all. I love your business model. I wish I'd have been an early person in it. That'd be great. But we have, again, local people. We're feeding families. We're not massively rich people. When you're talking about creating jobs here in the city, that's actually kind of hard to do in Kent Lake. We certainly don't want to lose them. The last big job we lost was 300 people at the hospital. We may only be 20, still that's 20. We can't do that. I know there's a lot of animosity, and I know there's people here that are in support of us. I know there's people that are not in support. I don't know if it's against the city, against us, or what. But this isn't a joke to me, whoever said that. This isn't a joke. It's not a joke. This is people's lives, people's livelihoods, and I just want to leave it local. That's it. It's local.
Like I said, I would really like to make sure you're involved in that.
Sure.
Committee with that.
Sure, as long as it's advertised and everybody knows that I'm there.
All right,
I've
thank
already been accused of that.
you. Anyone else?
A little shorter. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I'm Anna Stovall, I'm the General Manager for Public Services here in Southeast Missouri. I am local. I was born and raised here. And just wanted to first say thank you for your time, and wanted to try to clarify a few things that have been said about Republic Services over the last few weeks, few months. And we'll kind of see how this shakes out. I realize there's a committee that's been voted in, and I just want to take a little bit of time. Hopefully I can speak faster and get through here. But it's been said that we did not provide good service. There were some examples that were given about not providing good service. And I think there was one example that was given about a couple bags of trash that were on the ground for a couple weeks. And we did look into that. Those were, I couldn't remember who it was. It was one of you guys over here. Okay.
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay, so that's yard waste. So we looked into that. It's yard waste, which is not acceptable in the landfill. So it's not because we didn't pick it up. It is yard waste, which is not acceptable. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. But in our, I'm sorry.
It is at the back.
It is, but it's yard
Okay.
waste. Or at least that's what I've been told. I did ask about it. We checked into it after we were told about it, and that's what they said. And we did communicate that to the customer. But in our bid, we provided 4 references, which is standard protocol for us. We want everybody to know that we provide references and have other contracts. And they would be happy to tell you about our service. I do not believe they were called on as far as those references go, but we did obtain a letter of reference from the city of Malden tonight. I'd be more than happy to give you that letter of reference. And he would be more than happy to tell you about things that we do that go above and beyond kind of the standard level of service. There were things that were said, that we don't pick up the extra bags of trash, and that's all based on what is given in RFP. If a standard RFP is provided that asks for certain levels of service, we will provide whatever service the city asks for in an RFP. But there are things that we do that go above and beyond. Those mayors, those council members, those city clerks that you asked for in references will tell you stories about us going up and picking up a cart, when the resident forgets to take it out. They will tell you about when they know that their customer or their resident is sick, they go and they pick up that cart for them so they don't have to get out in the cold. They will do those things because that's what we expect of them, but they want to do it. They care about their cities, and the city clerks and the people that are responsible for that will be more than happy to discuss those things with you as far as references go. In the last 4 years that I've been general manager, we've renewed or retained 24 of the contracts that we have in Southeast Missouri. That's a 96% retention rate. Those cities wouldn't renew those contracts if they weren't happy with our service. Some of them go out to bid because they have to, but they retain the contract with us at the end of the day. Some of them extend it and don't go out to bid at all. But that's been 24 out of the last 25 contracts in the last 4 years. Aside from that, we've also added on 3 additional cities that have seen the value in our public services in the last 2 years. Those cities will be able to tell you about how we rolled out service, and we said, here's the date that we will start service, and here's the date that you will have your carts, here's the date that you will start service, and how seamless of a process that is. We'd be more than happy to give you those references as well. It's been said that we're not local. I get that. We do have a headquarters in a different state. But I'm local. And so are the 95 other employees that I employ, or that we employ in the area. I was born and raised here. I have a municipal manager who's in the room as well. She was born and raised here. She cares about the city of Kennett. She cares about her customers that are serviced everywhere in the area. and so do the employees that we employ every day. I even recently accepted an application or saw one come across my desk that was from